Okay, now I'll call a meeting to order. Welcome, everyone. I'll make the territorial acknowledgement first. Today, we acknowledge the Mississaugas of the Credit First Nation of the Anishinaabe peoples on whose traditional territory we are meeting. Okay, are there any declarations of conflict or pecuniary interest under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act? Not seeing any, we'll move on to item 4, which are the closed session resolutions. And Jane, I think.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I'd like to move approval of the community account funding request from Cops and Kids.
Okay, and seconded by Peter. And all in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Now we have a presentation from David Lee, University of Guelph, and he's going to give us the annual report for the Campus Safety Office.
Okay, thanks, Bob, and hello, everyone, and glad to be here to be doing this again this year. As you know, we're coming out of COVID, so the general comment is this is still an anomaly year compared to the one before and the one before that. Maybe our next report will be more similar and more in line with our experiences, but this one, the numbers are all over the map. But still, we can talk about some other stuff that we've done. The first thing I wanted to mention, I don't need to go through everything in the report about our jurisdiction, and that I think everyone here knows that we have a special constable service of 16 frontline officers and 3 administrators, me being one of those. And we respond 24/7 to calls of service on our campus. One of the things we went through this past year was a change of employees. We experience, as do my counterparts at other universities with special constables, a loss of employees to police services. And to me, that's welcome. I mean, it's okay to have officers move on if that's their career aspiration. And I can tell you here at University of Guelph, we assist them. If they say, I want to be a police officer, we make sure that we help them with our past police experience and in learning what they need to learn and getting prepared to be a successful applicant. So that's not a bad news story, it's a good news story. And then we bring in young, fresh faces that want to learn, and they may progress to the same end. So that's fine as far as I'm concerned. Same with our dispatcher. One dispatcher went to, I believe it was, I don't want to say now, it was a regional police service or municipal police service, because the work that we do here, both frontline officers and dispatchers, is very similar to what you have in frontline and regular policing. So it's a good fit. So we have some people that move out, we have some people that move in, and it was 10 of our last 12 hires have been people that have never been police officers before. So that's a good thing. They come on, they go through a strict vetting process, they get checked by your service, and they're approved by your board, and then we send them off to training, very, very similar to a regular police recruit. So we've got a full staff going right now, and full dispatch and full uniform staff. So we're up to speed after there was some illnesses and stuff during the COVID period. The first thing I want to talk about is our emergency planning. We spent a lot of time and effort on emergency planning, emergency management update. One of the gaps we found here on campus is that if we had an emergency, and this is strictly through analysis, we didn't actually go through an emergency and discover it. We sat down and thought about it. Some people on our emergency operations center may not have all the experience that some of us do from our previous careers. So we decided to put together a manual that describes about 30 different scenarios and what to do if there was a flood, what to do if there was a major fire, what to do if there was a chemical spill, what to do, that kind of stuff. 2-3 pages, very high level, but someone that's on the emergency operations center now has a guide to follow. So when something happens on campus, we can flip right to the page, and it gives you the basic ideas, not step-by-step guide, but it's certainly things to think about in an emergency of this type. So that was put together by one of our officers, who's a former police officer who had emergency management training extensively at his former police service. So that worked out very well, and it's been approved, and it's sitting at all executive level desks right now on campus. It's a live document, so as we come up to something else that might happen or something else someone thinks about, an emergency that may happen, we can update it. And as names change, as maybe titles change, as structure here changes, of who's responsible for what, as actually we make that change inside that document as well. So it lives here at my office and it's distributed to the executives. So that's how we keep it current. We've also migrated our emergency notification system. We call it Safe Griffin. That's for students, something on their phone. We've migrated to a Canadian company, and it's working very smoothly. So they run the software, and they make sure that that application works properly for us. Our UFG alert system, which is the general broadcast for emergencies, that still works. That's doing a very good job. We just tested it about 3 weeks ago. Give everybody warning that it's coming, send out the alert, and similar to what we get with the national alert system that we just went through a warning yesterday or the day before. So we do that here on campus as well with our own internal alerts. Alerts are sent out through telephone, desktop. We have beacons posted all over the place. We don't have a loudspeaker system. We haven't got that to that point yet. But people are certainly made aware somehow. There's a number of different ways that they can find out. The television screens scattered all over campus, they're lit up with the emergency message. So that works. So that's working on campus. Our auxiliary program, we started this 4 years ago, I believe, maybe 5, and it's slowed down through COVID. But we have 4 students now in the criminal justice and public policy program that are either 3rd or 4th year that have declared they want to be police officers. So we take them in, give them a uniform clothes, just, golf shirt, jacket, things like that. And they ride along with us and we show them what it's like. And we give them some training and we give them some constructive feedback. Our goal is to help them reach their goal, which is becoming a police officer. Maybe a nudge to the City of Guelph Police, and that might occur, but we want them to become police officers, and several have. So it's right up to the point where when they're applying, we remind them to sort of the application season, which would be about November for an April hire or a September hire. You want to get your application in November of your 4th year, things like that. So we kind of coach them and guide them on how to be successful as a police recruit. We do as much as we can. And a few of us here used to be police recruiters with our former police force that we're with. So we're sort of informed on that. We'd love to expand it. I just don't have, I only have 4 people working per shift maximum. I can't take more than 4 auxiliaries at a time. It's unfortunate. I'd love to take a lot more because our criminal justice and public policy cohort is quite large here on campus. It's, I think it might even be our largest first year cohort. So we're trying to do is provide the students with some experiential learning to make them successful as they go forward in their careers. In there too, I think this is the first year I've mentioned fire safety team in my report because they are part of what we do. And I know they do fire safety, they do the checks, they work closely with your Guelph City Fire and the inspectors there. But it's interesting, just the other day we had an arrest for bicycle theft, and I'll get to that sad number later, but we had an arrest for bicycle theft, and it was one of our fire officers who was parked having lunch and happened to park near a bicycle station, happened to notice something odd, called the officers, and they came in and made the arrest. So they are part of our team. They work with us, and they do quite a good job of keeping the campus safe in terms of fire protocols and things like that. The other experiential learning thing that we look at, it's not policing, but it's something you should know that we do, is the first aid response team, first response team, FRTs. The FRTs are student volunteers that are trained by, used to be St. John, and I can't remember who it is now. Can't remember who the company is now that trains them, but it's a national standard. And they patrol the campus. They're dispatched through us. They go to calls that we go to, and they look after matters of first aid. The officer, the special constable, is still in charge of the scene, but we have students that carry backpacks that are filled with first aid response equipment that will get there, make assessments. They do reports. Those reports are confidential and are stored away from my office. And it's a great service to have. The other fantastic service that we have here is Impact. And you're all familiar with Impact because here in Guelph, it is, I've had a number of phone calls from my counterparts around Ontario asking me about how can they get Impact on their campus. It is it's a fabulous service. The impact folks just showed up before I came on this meeting, and they're all set up. We have an office just beside mine that they set up in, and they're ready to go, and they go out to calls for service. They have diverted quite a number of calls away from GGH, which that's good in itself, but they also provide in-place professional service that we just can't, we as special constables just can't deliver. Some of maybe the senior officers that have been around these kind of calls may be good at it. The impact people are very good at it. And so they're the ones dealing with the person who's the subject of the call, and the special constables hang back just in case there's any kind of a need for them. So there's a professional assessment done by a nurse on the scene right there, and it's resulting in diversions from the emergency at the hospital. It's a huge success story. We've only been doing it for about a year now, and I'm hoping that we can entrench it. I'm hoping we can keep it. What a fantastic service for our campus and for the people that live around here. So that's sort of the different aspects of what we have. And I'd like to now get into the stats, the incidents, the things that we do. So I said earlier that we are frontline service deliveries. When the phone rings, we show up, and it can be anything from a stolen bicycle all the way up to something terrible like a death, something that's happened on campus. We do have a memorandum of understanding with Guelph Police that once a call reaches a certain level of seriousness, it's automatically transferred to Guelph Police. So we'll handle an assault call if someone gets shoved or something like that, a very minor assault. But if there's injury, somebody has to be taken to the hospital as a result of the assault, Guelph Police then takes over that call. But nonetheless, the special constables are the first ones on scene in almost every case. So the officers experience what it's like to be first responders in a real sense. It's just sometimes the follow-up isn't there because it's handed off to Guelph Police as it should be. So looking at our incidents by the numbers, as we call it, we've spread it across 3 years. It's kind of, it's hard to make comparisons because of COVID. The numbers are all over the map. But the one thing that concerns me that's way up is the bike thefts. About 3 years ago, I sat here and gave a presentation. I was quite happy with the fact that our bike thefts had plummeted because of all the different things we were doing. Now they're up. So that's on us to analyze, and we've done it already. We've already figured out what's happened. We're going to need more active patrols in the bike areas. That's as simple as it has to be. There has to be a deterrent, a visual deterrent of uniformed officers in the area of the bicycle racks. So we have 9 main bicycle racks, large ones, and that's where the thefts are occurring because there's always somebody there. A thief can easily blend in. And so we, as our fire officer did the other day, sit there and have a look and see if we notice something that's out of place. We rely on our camera system on campus. It was upgraded about 2 years ago, and some extra cameras. All the old cameras were replaced with modern cameras, and they're through a physical resources section. We work with them, and they made sure that everything's up, running, and working. And we have a camera policy so that the personal data, people's images are stored and they're not available to anyone without my permission. My officers can go in and look and see what's going on. Anyone else wants to see those cameras, the request has to come through us. And it has to be outlined. There's a form, there's a whole process to get approval for that. But the numbers, the proactive patrols, there's that number there. I'm quite happy to see that we've gone from 1,500 to 5,100 during COVID. Quite frankly, because there wasn't a whole lot of other things to do because no one was here. We're still at 3,300 right now, almost 3,400 for last year as people are coming back to campus. A proactive patrol is patrol the bike rack. So or go to a certain building where we've had trouble with break-ins or broken windows or something. Those are the proactive patrols. Go into the Arboretum at nighttime. Patrol around there. So those are the ones, and they're all captured. We say we're starting a patrol now, and when the officer finishes the patrol is over, so that we have a time stamp in case we do find something later on. We know that period of time was safe. It hadn't occurred during that period of time. So the bike thefts. The one thing that I am happy that is the number of break and enters have gone down. The only thing I can think of is because the proactive patrols are higher than they were in 2019. They've gone up there at 3,300, almost 3,400. So perhaps, we're not sure, but we like that number, that the break-ins have dropped. Our liquor tickets have gone up. I think that's the experience among a number of police agencies around the province, certainly on campuses. I'm a member of a peer group, and we talk regularly, and everyone's experiencing that. Liquor offenses have gone up post-COVID, or as we're coming out of COVID. Our annual stats, if we go to that now, I do have to declare a typo right off the bat. I thought we had it fixed. We did on one version that I approved, and suddenly the old 0 came back in. In the annual stats of charges and arrests, criminal code charges, it says citizens 27, students 0. It should be students 15 and not 0. That jumped off the page when I saw it. Unfortunately, I didn't see it till after this was sent in. The rest of the stats, fairly normal. Typical from the provincial charges. The citizen charges are generally our homecoming type events where we have charges on campus, St. Paddy's Day, different things like that. We have weekends where people invite guests over, and a liquor ticket is ended up being handed out to the guest. That just happens. That's something that we experience here on campus. The rest of the stats, the charges are fairly minimal. Impaired have stayed the same. Struck police has stayed the same. Most of the stuff has been the same. The thefts have actually slightly increased, but not to a great degree. Traffic, Highway Traffic Act, we have limited powers. We don't have the powers under the full Highway Traffic Act, but for instance, stop sign. That just shows what the officers are doing is they're spending more time on patrol. And the reason that's why I'm pointing this one out, because they are on proactive patrols. They are told to watch for these various offenses, all for safety. It's not for fines. It's not for persecuting anyone. It's to make sure that the roads stay safe. One of our concerns is because of an incident that happened 2 years ago is pedestrian safety. We had a pedestrian hit 2 years ago, not too far from where I'm sitting. And it was a car that was traveling. We assume, we know, couldn't prove it, a car that was traveling too quickly, and a pedestrian was hit. So we take it very seriously, the traffic control on campus, and to the point, even one of them somewhere on the handheld communication device, a difficult charge to find, but we do have 3 of them. So that's someone using their cell phone, sitting in their car. Distraction with pedestrians walking around is extremely dangerous. So that's something that I was happy to see. For years we had 0s on that, but now we set 3. The other stats are quite similar from other years. Typical, we have the trespass charges. Almost all are non-students, of course, because the students are here. I mean, they're allowed to be here. It's people that are not from here that we find on campus that aren't supposed to be here. And we have a number of people, I don't know how many hundreds on a list, that are trespassed here from campus over the years. And they wander back on, and we find them. Engage in prohibited activity, same thing. The highlight I have about, I've mentioned it already, project impact and mental health. So if you look at the number of apprehensions of the students and the impact attended, so we have 23 students or apprehension or volunteered to go. So we don't distinguish between those two. They just went with us, and they were given the care that they need. And then since impact has been in place, they're already at 24. That's if we had a full year of impact, you would see that number be skewed. That most of the work done on mental health calls is managed by impact. Now they're at nighttime. We do have mental health calls during the day. But at nighttime, impact has been an enormous bonus to the safety of people here on this campus. And it takes it out of our hands, relatively untrained and relatively uneducated in these matters, takes it out of the special constable's hands and gives it to the trained people. It's where you want to be, and we're really happy that we have that arrangement. That arrangement was all done through our student health services. And then they called to say, would you have an office space for these people? And we did. And so we actually moved some stuff to create room for them. So that's probably the biggest bonus to the last year is the way that our mental health calls are handled on campus, and the quality of care now that's provided to our students, I think, is the best it's ever been. And I'm not aware of another school. Maybe there is one, but I'm not aware of another school in Ontario that has this. They're all talking about it. I get calls all the time, but certainly no one's been doing it for a year. They may have recently started it up in September, but they haven't got the time under their belt that we have. So we're extremely fortunate to have that. Nope, that's it. Actually, I got to the last page. I had one more page to go, but I'm at the last page. Does anybody have any questions?
Questions?
Yeah.
No? I have a question on this picture I'm looking at of this FRT. I don't know what to call it.
Golf cart.
Little vehicle.
Yeah. Yeah, it's got a heater in it, because what happens is they get dispatched by us and we don't drive them or anything, and they could be at one end of the campus at the north end, and suddenly there's somebody down at the bus loop that's been, fallen and hit their head, and to run from the top of the campus with their backpacks. They're huge backpacks. It's just inefficient. So we have that golf cart. Your physical resources found us a spot to plug it in so it stays warm, stays charged, and they hop in that and away they go, and they can do a whole lot more calls a lot quicker. And it's got lights on it, and it's got a heater in it, and it's a great addition. And it was acquired through Physical Resources. They were the ones that helped us find all the features that we needed on that to operate year round. So it's a winter vehicle. Yeah, it's quite good, and that's paid for by the FRT through the university. It's not, doesn't come out of my budget. That's something that they,
Okay.
yeah, the money comes from through the registrar's office somehow, and it goes to the FRT, and it pays for their equipment and for that car, so that they can provide a service to the students and to anyone else on campus. Not just students, can be anyone on campus.
Questions? Crystal clear? Okay, well, David, I want to thank you for your report. And you went through all that in a clear and most efficient way. So I mean, since I've left the university, I've learned a lot based on what you've just said and what you're doing differently and adding things to it and so on. So I want to wish you the best of luck going forward. And
Yep.
You probably don't need to be wished luck because you're doing a lot of stuff, but it's kind of a different world at university. And I imagine it was a big change for you, but you've been there now several years. So
7 years now. Yeah, it was a huge change. It was a huge change going from public policing to this.
Yeah.
And but no, it's a fantastic place to be, a fantastic place to work. As you will know, I haven't been here before, and I got great supports. And something I haven't said this meeting that I say every meeting, I want to thank the chief and his folks for supporting us. And as I've said a few times, I speak to my counterparts all the time. No one, and I'm not exaggerating, no one has the relationship with the local police that we do, a positive relationship. Through training, through expertise. If we have a young officer that needs some assistance and the older officers are tied up with something, they can call to your duty desk, I think you call it, duty, and get some information. Like, what do I do here? Who should I call? What should I do? And the information flows. It's like we're a sort of a wing of the police service with a specialized function here on campus, but we're not left alone. We're not in the dark, in other words. So it's very good to have that.
Well, good. Thank you, Chief. We're really proud of our chief. There's no doubt about it, and our deputy, and the service in general. At least I am. I shouldn't speak for everybody else, but okay. Well, David, thanks for giving us this update, and I just don't remember last year. Were you giving this update last year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay. But it looks like you've done lots of stuff. And here's Chief Kobe.
Yes, Mr. Chair. No, I just wanted to reiterate what Dave said as far as the great collaboration between our services and our members. We're partners in the safety of our community. Dave and I talk often, and I think it's important that the board and the community know just how interconnected we are. So thanks, Dave, very much to you and your folks.
Okay. Well, I guess we'll move on now to the remaining part of the agenda. And one last chance. Any questions for David? No? Okay. Thanks again, David. See ya. All right. Let's move on to approval of the agenda and part one of the, okay, Peter, thank you. And Jane, thank you. And that's carried. Part one is the consent agenda. And do we have a motion to approve the items in the consent agenda? Jane, thank you. Peter, seconded, and all in favor, and that's carried. Thank you. Okay. The discussion items are very short. In fact, there's one here, and that's the chief's monthly report.
It is, and Mr. Chair, just the way our meetings have lined up, they're a little closer than they have been usually. So my report this month is, I only have one important, but it's one item, but it's a very important item. And I wanted to, for both the board and for our community, under the Police Services Act, the board is responsible for the provision of adequate and effective police services for our community. It's a very important and challenging role. And today I wanted to take this opportunity to thank our board members and specifically you, Mr. Chair, for the very hard work you've done in the last 4 years in your role as our chair. I think that it's important for almost 4 years that you have worked tremendously hard to support the community in what is a very demanding and important role. I'm pretty confident that you never imagined that you'd be leading the board, the service, and serving the community throughout a very complex time, a global pandemic. But throughout your tenure, you've demonstrated your sincere commitment to our community, and on behalf of our community and our members, a sincere thank you, as I know this will be your last meeting. So that's my only update, but it's a very important one, Mr. Chair. Thank you so much for everything.
Oh, well, thank you for those words, Chief. I have to say, you know, it was a real pleasure and an honor to serve as chair. And I have noticed that your leadership has been very, very excellent in terms of the force, and as well you, Daryl, and that's very, very important to have that sort of leadership, encouraging members, relating well to members, taking their inputs. It's I guess when I started, I thought, is this going to be command and control, right? And which is, I think, sort of I may be wrong on this, but the old school of policing, and my sense is it's definitely not like that at all, which is all to the good, because a group input is probably better than a one-person input, because it helps to come out with better solutions and ways to move forward. The interesting thing about this is that I have not chaired a meeting other than these types of meetings we see here. There's been no in-person meetings, probably much to the distress of the mayor, who's smiling at me right now, but I don't want to get sick. And right now it's not looking good going forward. So Just thought I'd throw that in for your benefit, Mr. Mayor. But all of the folks on the board, and there's been a few that have come and gone while I'm here, have been excellent. I think we have a great rapport with the service. And I know I don't get to meet a lot of the citizens in Guelph, but Cam, you probably meet many, many more than I do for sure. And I think generally, if we look at, and I'm going back a ways here, I can't remember what report it was, that by and large, citizens of Guelph are very pleased with the police service. And I think that's another feather in your cap, Chief, which shows, I mean, that's quite good. It shows what you're doing. The job you're doing is fantastic. So to all the board members, I want to thank you for your support throughout my time here. It was great. And I'm looking forward to doing some different stuff. Like maybe some traveling and things like that. And if you want me to send you a postcard or anything, just let me know, and then I'll kind of play it up and say, oh, it's so fantastic here. How is it there? So once again, thanks to everyone. I really appreciate your support, and all the best going forward. So that brings us to, Chief, did you have anything else? Did I cut you off? No? Okay. Any new business? Oh, hold on a second. Cam, I noticed you joined us late. I meant to ask you, is everything okay? You finally got back to your hotel and...
Yeah, we let's just say there was a bit of a mix-up here with everything, but I literally ran in the door and opened up my iPad to make sure I heard the chief praise you. So that was probably the best timing of entering a meeting ever. So everything's fine, and because I've unmuted, I now get to say thanks to you, Mr. Chair. You've taught me a great deal, actually over the last 4 years, and I look to you actually quite a bit from a mentorship perspective of sort of how to balance things and talk to other people on boards and just how to bring things forward. And you've been a great chair and a great friend. So thank you very much for your help as well. I'm glad I'm able to say that.
You're welcome. So I guess that brings us to the information items, and the next open meeting will not be the second Thursday of the month. It'll be the 3rd. So I wanted to bring that to your attention, just so you understand it's the 3rd one. Okay, and that's a closed meeting as well, as I recall. Let me just check. Yes. So that, I can give you the times. 10 a.m. for the closed meeting, Thursday, December 15th, and 11 a.m. for the open meeting, Thursday, December 15th. Okay, is there any other business that anyone has? Let me see if I'm on the right one here. Yeah. So if not, I'll call for a motion to adjourn. But before I do, have a great time where you are, Cam. Get some rest and relaxation. And if I don't see all the rest of you, have a great Christmas and great New Year as well. So we'll hopefully be talking.
I'd be happy to move adjournment, especially where I am.
Good, thanks. I appreciate that. I was stalling to try and, somebody's got to move adjournment. Okay, all in favor?
I think Jane seconded that. Yeah. There you
I
go.
did.
Okay.
I did.
All right. And that's carried. Thanks, folks.
Thank you.